Okay, so post-league wrap-up for Lurrus Merfolk. Well, I guess that turned that around. See what I mean? Like, I basically ran back essentially the same list that I just went 1-4 against the last league, and it just so happens that when I record this one, I get a 5-0. Hey, can't complain. Always nice to get these 5-0s on camera because I'm definitely not recording all my leagues, but well, I mean, whenever the 5-0's on camera, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, so if you guys are wondering like how that one happened, that's how this trophy happened. So yeah, I mean, we didn't get to see any Tibalt decks, which is kind of what Disrupting Shoal was in there for. Disrupting Shoal did a lot of work in the Asford Hold matchup. It didn't. I don't think it really came in anywhere else, if I'm not mistaken. But there certainly was some consideration for it in other matchups. But I mean, hey, if we're not bringing it in, and the rest of our sideboard does what the deck needs to do, then is it really harming us? The only time I really missed Pithing Needle was the Death and Taxes matchup, and we managed to get lucky and take that one anyway. Even though, honestly, I think without Pithing Needle, we probably like shouldn't win that one in a way. But obviously, sometimes even when you're in a bad matchup and you don't have your critical sideboard cards, sometimes you still manage to win. Yeah, and it's a good thing we didn't, because that might have psyched me out and made me really wonder if I should keep Pithing Needles in there. I have to imagine the Tibalt deck is more common than Death and Taxes right now. At least it seemed that way, but, well, hey, we I'd probably rather be counting on getting lucky against Death and Taxes at this point than against Tibalt. And like I said, it's weird, but even with 8 main deck counterspells, it's just the combination of the instant speed cascade of Violent Outburst, and the fact that there's new versions running around that can play multiple Tibalt's Trickeries because they have multiple payoff cards and multiple different cascade spells. So so the cascade spells either hit the payoffs or they hit more cascade spells to cascade into either more cascade spells or into Tibalt's Trickery, because none of the cascade spells cost less than 3. So I mean, you could get unlucky and hit a Trickery, but you're unlikely to, because the deck is filled with more payoffs than trickeries. I mean, I don't know. I think it was I know Doom Switch has been playing a lot of that, and I ran into that player twice. I may have said Doomwake before. I think it was actually Doom Switch, but I don't know. Doomwake might have been playing that too. I don't know. I get Doomwake and Doom Switch confused all the time. But yeah. So anyway, didn't face trickery, so we didn't get to see how Disrupting Shoal would help out in that matchup. I have to imagine it would a lot. Just being able to be able to count, as long as we have a 2-drop in hand, just being able to counter trickery at any time, no matter how we tap our mana, seems pretty strong. But but anyway, that being said, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, it's basically the same list from the last one that I posted on Twitter. The last trophy that I got from actually the second to last trophy I got. No, I don't think I actually got a trophy with Yuri on Merfolk. So I think this is basically the same list as the last trophy from last season with Merfolk, which I posted on Twitter, which basically was this same 40 spells in the main, but just didn't have Lurrus, and had Fairy Conclave instead of Creeping Tar Pit, and had a couple what do you call those things? Castle Vantress. Unfortunately, Castle Vantress is a casualty that we just can't really squeeze into the deck anymore when we're trying to have black producing lands to make life a little easier for Lurrus. And it is worth noting that because we had black mana in Game 5, we could actually cast Lurrus from hand, especially when we were locking out any Aether Vials we'd draw with Chalice. So obviously, even though most of the time, as we saw, Lurrus ends up getting vialed in, put in with Vial, because it's just kind of mana intensive without. Having black lands definitely does help in a lot of circumstances. Plus, we didn't actually give up that much by playing these black lands. I mean, Creeping Tar Pit is arguably better than Fairy Conclave, although definitely costing one more means we can't snipe off Lilianas and other planeswalkers or 3 mana Teferis as easily after they do their downtick. But the fact that it's completely unblockable also means that it can be sometimes a source of inevitability, even if the opponent has like a huge board presence and even flyers. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. Just the matches felt pretty good. I liked the cards. We didn't face any Uro decks, so we didn't really get punished for not having main deck graveyard hate. Although it is worth noting that Repeal isn't the worst card ever against Uro. it doesn't deal with it permanently, and it also, you know, obviously they already drew a card, they already were up one card if they escape it. But the fact that it can actually cleanly deal with Uro by returning it to their hand, you know, where they have to like escape it for another 5 cards, like, you know, it's not nothing, and Deprive also can also delay it further. It is unfortunate though without Graveyard Hate though that Uro ultimately only gets delayed, but yeah, I mean, I have beaten Uro decks without ever either drawing, you know, Relic in the past, or in, you know, versions that didn't play Relic in the main. So like I know it can be done, but it feels like it's almost impossible for them when you have main deck, you know, either Relic or Soul Guide Lantern or something. But it is worth noting that I think Nihil Spellbomb is very much better against the Uro decks anyway. You know, at least in games 2 and 3. So hopefully that somewhat makes up for not having main deck Graveyard Hate against that matchup. But you know, we didn't run into it, and you know, definitely having main deck Repeal helped out a lot in the matchups we did face. For the most part, I think, you know, actually these 40 main deck spells did pretty good. Can't really complain. I mean, the main reason, not gonna lie, the main reason Deprive is in here is because of the Titan decks, which we didn't run into, but it actually still seems surprisingly good, even though it's not in there for one of the main metagame players that we see a lot of, and that we're kind of like a fish out of water without. You know, it's you know, us versatility definitely does say something, because even against the Uro decks, it's still pretty good. Doesn't you know, deal with Uro permanently, but countering an escaped Uro still is a, you know, pretty good tempo swing. They paid 4, you paid 2. So you know, it's a good tempo swing. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, deck felt good. Not much I can say. We even beat a Blood Moon deck. Exactly like I said, we lucked out, and I think we just drew a second island. But like, you know, if that was a Spreading Seas, I think that in one of my previous leagues I was able to beat a Blood Moon deck by just seizing one of my other lands and then unlocking 2 islands, and you know, going from there. Also, Aether Vial helped us against the other one. So like, Blood Moon is still a beating with this mana base, but since we are an Aether Vial deck, and since we do have Spreading Seas, we're not actually as cold to Blood Moon as, like, say, Humans. Although Humans' saving grace is that it can pump so many creatures on the board that it can hopefully win if the opponent takes 3 mana and their turn 3 off. You know, to not address the board, to just address like their mana. So like, you know, that's kind of how Humans deals with Blood Moon, is they just try to overwhelm the opponent early and put them in a spot where they can't really drop Blood Moon profitably. You know, otherwise they just die to the board. So like, you know, well, that's not really how our deck works, but thankfully we've got the backup of just having you know, 4 islands and having Spreading Seas and Aether Vial. You know, it helped there. I actually lost to Obosh Prowess, my own other deck, and a version of my own other deck that another player was playing in the last league, the league I went 4-1, 1-4, and I think that was the one. You know, so I think it was my second game, and I did lose in spectacular fashion to Blood Moons. I think in games 2 and 3. I'm pretty sure it was in the main, but didn't see it until games 2 and 3. And you know, but that being said, I don't think there's too many Blood Moon decks running around in the meta. Ironically, I think my Obosh or Jegantha or Companionless, you know, alternative Prowess deck is probably, you know, I don't really see too much pawns anymore. Ironically, I think the Prowess deck that I made is kind of the only like real meta deck that really plays Blood Moon. So ironically, I may have created one of the only disincentives to go you know, this direction instead of an island heavier version. But I still like it. I mean, unless we run against Blood Moon decks a lot more frequently, I think the strengths of having access to Lurrus and a pretty reasonable way, an ability to play it pretty reliably is pretty real game. It's very real. Don't know what else to say. Just liked it. If you guys like this content and you want to see more of it, definitely subscribe. I'm actually, I can't believe it, but I'm already, you know, over 800 subscribers. I'm probably gonna hit 1,000 subscribers. You know, hopefully by my 1-year anniversary, which I can't remember exactly when I started on YouTube. Well, actually, I started on YouTube a while ago, by my first anniversary of posting videos. It's just, I guess it's an easy matter of of looking just for the first video I posted. But yeah, like I may actually hit 1,000 subscribers by the time I get to the anniversary of posting my first video, which would be pretty unreal. And I really appreciate, you know, all of you all who tune in to watch and who are subscribed, and you know, and it means a lot that you guys find this you know, valuable and useful. and look forward to keep posting, because I mean, it's not honestly, it's really just the uploading that's kind of like some like time I have to spend. Like recording it. Now, recording it does actually increase the time a little bit, but you know, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable unless I do it like all the time and I burn myself out. Like commenting on these, it's enjoyable. Um, and I do like doing it, and especially I like it if it's helpful to you all. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, and you know, we'll be we'll be uh, continuing to jam blue and red, fire and ice. You know. Um, So let's do this, and one of these days I may actually try some of my other, like my mono black, my mono white, and you know, mono green. In fact, I wanna try that one again. That one was something. It's a, you know, if any of you guys, like, you know, just as long as you, you know, I don't know, I'm not the kind of guy who like needs credit, but you know, necessarily, although I definitely appreciate it. But like, I really for a while felt like I was onto something with mono green, and I'm making like this whisper kind of gesture with my hand. You guys can't see, but I'm like, psst. So like the thing about mono green infect that like I really felt like I was onto something with is Sylvan Scrying. I'm not kidding. Just turn one Noble Hierarch into turn two Sylvan Scrying into playing the playing Inkmoth Nexus, which you find with Sylvan Scrying. Just being able to see Inkmoth Nexus more consistently was just pretty good. You know, not gonna lie. But of course, in a Blood Moon world, and especially the Obosh matchup, the Obosh Prowess deck I made is basically an impossible matchup for almost any version of Infect, but particularly mono green that doesn't have like counter magic or I don't really know what else they might have. Although it is a little less weak to Blood Moon, so I will give it that. But it's off the Inkmoth Nexus, which is a big problem because no blighted agents to. I don't know. I mean, truth be told, I actually played a little bit of blue green Infect with a blighted agent and with Sylvan Scrying. I have no idea. I have no idea why people don't play Sylvan Scrying and Infect. I know that sounds crazy. I know it just sounds like, oh, that's just MHayashi losing his mind again. But like, no, it's I'm telling you guys, Sylvan Scrying in Infect. I may try that one of these days. Although actually, about that I may do something interesting for that one. So you know, hopefully I can. Hopefully I can. I wouldn't want you guys to have like anticipation if it doesn't happen. It may not happen anytime soon, but I definitely want to try mono green infect deck and mono green infect again. It may end up being blue green. In fact, after a few games, if it just really looks like mono green isn't the superior version. But believe it or not, a lot of times I did actually feel mono green was actually superior. Believe it or not, I kid you not, and a lot of it was because having access to more consistent Inkmoth Nexus with Sylvan Scrying, I really felt was actually even superior to having a blighted agent. But that was just me. Um, I did. If you guys are all wondering, one of the reasons why I just don't really play Infect anymore, and I did actually used to play that a decent amount, including in Legacy. I had a mono green Legacy Infect, which actually the reason why I thought of Sylvan Scrying in Modern was because I have no idea why people didn't play all four crop rotations in Legacy Infect. I love that deck also because, man, oh, it almost makes me want to play Legacy again. Um, having oh man, it looked like I was just basically going to end the video, but no, you know. Anyway, the point is with that Legacy Infect deck I made felt sweet because it had 4 Sylvan Scryings, which also gave me more. Not Sylvan Scrying, sorry. The Legacy version had crop rotation, which, man, let me tell you, if I had Sylvan Scrying available in Modern, like not Sylvan Scrying, geez, crop rotation, like, oh, I'd be all over mono green Infect again, and maybe it'd be blue green, but you know, all over at least mono green because like, ooh, you know, let me tell you, because then I put one Bajuka Bog in, I put one Caracas, so the Bajuka Bog, like, basically Dredge was like a buy in game one because it's like, oh, there's your entire deck in your graveyard, and you're gonna like, or your most of your deck, and you've got like a million Icarids or like a, you know, and like a million, you know, Bridge from Below tokens and all these other things. It's like, oh, cool story. Well, in response to all the triggers, you know, crop rotation, Bajuka Bog, and it's like, what is this? What is this jank? You know, no, this is not how the effect is supposed to be done. And I'm like, well, I mean, hey, here's one matchup that's improved by crop rotation, and then against the at the time, show and tell decks were big, so I had one of Caracas in my deck, which for Sylvan Scrying could also help support. So it's like, oh, cool story, I'm real cool. Oh, cool story. I respond, you know, yeah, show and tell the I'm real cool into play. I show and tell like a forest into play. I tap for crop rotation, Caracas. You know, cool story, bro. And it's like I forget what else, but like actually And the thing is, all of those cards, because I was going more all in on Inkmoth Nexus, because I had crop rotation to find it more consistently. Actually, having all those utility lands, they actually weren't useless, because like they could animate Inkmoth Nexus, which I would usually have more of than usual because of crop rotation. And actually, that's why when I started with Modern, one of my first decks was Mono Green Infect, and it was actually not doing that bad. And that's because I thought of Sylvan Scrying, because I'm like, well, we don't have crop rotation, but I mean, Sylvan Scrying is next best thing. And it was like, sure enough, it was pretty. Let's see. I'm getting the itch to try it again. But the problem is, the burn is just impossible. I think what happened is burn became a huge percentage of the metagame after like that Pro Tour where the burn made like a significant showing. And when burn was all over the place, I remember just being like, there's certain things you can do, and maybe I just gave up. And like I don't. One of the things is I almost never give up like trying to make a deck work. But what it was is it was just too taxing. Like I started having other things going on in my life and stuff, and it's actually surprisingly taxing to try to keep two decks competitive, both prowess and Merfolk, where it used to be mono red burn. And sometimes red white burn, but usually mono red burn or red green burn. I think I played red green burn more than mono red burn, but yeah, or more than red white burn. I definitely played mono red the most out of all the different variations of burn. But yeah, yeah. Point is yeah. I probably if definitely if Infect was my only deck, I probably would have found out a way to keep it competitive even in the burn meta. Not that I necessarily would have crushed burn decks or anything, but that I probably would have been able to stay competitive. But I don't know. I think that's where I just started fighting fire with fire, and I just started really jamming mono red burn more. And obviously red decks are still probably what I play the most, but still like Merfolk a lot, and definitely in this Tybalt's environment, probably Merfolk is what I'm going to be playing more of. Anyway, I think I'll end the video for real now. So let me know if you guys have any questions, and this time for real. I'll see you guys around. Bye.